query by design so far. We should be very comfortable with that using the design view. And also we learned how to make SQL commands using Access, using the SQL screen. And we learned how to make SQL statements using SQL Server. And we learned that about the precedence of the operations in any SQL statement. And today, and what we have done so far, we have learned how to conduct or make SQL commands using only one table. So we retrieve data from only one table. So today we will learn how to retrieve data from more than one table using SQL statements. So let's see. So when we say that SQL statements can be retrieved from one table, it doesn't mean only from a table object. It can be retrieved from other queries as well. So basically we can run a query based on another query. So to do that, let's open the Access file. Please, all of you, let's open an Access file. And we will be writing SQL commands just to show or to practice how to retrieve an SQL command or an data from another SQL or from another query. So let's open the pit store, the pit store database access as well as the web query. So we want it to be handy. So using the access file, so we will write, at least you, so at least you can see the small screens because you already have this file, so you should be able to do that. So we will select and then all, which is the asterisk, from, there is a query here that is called QRY net. So select all from QRY net. So let's do that. And it should be available to you in the slides here. I included it in the notes, in the slides on chapter 7. So if you select all from QueryNet and run, you will see that we were successfully able to retrieve data from another query using SQL. So if I ask you a question whether SQL commands are based only on tables, would that be true or false? False or true? False, because it can be also, its source can be a table. And as we learned previously, today we will also review some of the commands or SQL that we have done before. So this is kind of the syntax or the basic syntax for SQL commands. So you select, you use the command keyword, which is select, and then you name the columns that you want to select, and then you use another keyword called from to specify the table or the object that you get it from, which is the source of your data. And then you use where to specify and pinpoint what exactly you want to retrieve. And we have learned that last Tuesday or last Thursday. So if you want to know the long, so we looked at the basic syntax. This is the one of the long syntax that you can use for SQL commands. But this doesn't comprehend or doesn't include all the keywords that you might be using. So this is just to give you an idea that there are some keywords that can be used, such as distinct, and we will learn how to do that. So distinct, if we have in one table, for example, the same record repeating. Let's say that when we try to retrieve categories from animal table, we have cats, dogs, what frogs maybe, whatever other animals we have, but you will see that they are repeating. What if we only want to know those categories, only distinct categories? How many distinct categories do we have? We don't want those repeating. Then we can use distinct as a keyword after select, and we will learn how to do it in a little bit. Top is another keyword that you use after select. Let's say that you want to select the top record, 10 records from that table, or from whatever source that you want. The top 10 records, let's say, or the top 10%. So when you say 10%, you will have to spell out the percent. Don't use the percentage sign. So you can do that. And we need that at some points. We want only to select those 10% most profitable customers from us, or those 10% free admissions that we get in our office. So you might get that question from a manager. So top is very useful keyword that we use right after select, the select keyword. Into, this is if we want to create a copy using a query into another table. We use insert into, and we have used that before. Join. So today, since we will be learning how to retrieve data from more than one source, from more than one, let's say, table or more than one query at the same time, then we will use this keyword called join. So we will say select all from animal, inner join, let's say sales, on, and then we specify the foreign key that is common between those two tables, and then we will specify where statement, where clause. And we will learn how to do that. We will be also reviewing the order by. So when we did some query or design view queries, we used order by number, order descending, ascending. Today we will include the order by as a keyword at the end of the SQL statement, just to make it organized and look neat for us. Group by is mainly used when we are using functions. So who can remind us what are those functions examples that we have been doing? Average, sum, minimum, maximum, count. Those are kind of examples of functions. So when we use those functions, then we will need to use group by. Another keyword that comes right after it is having. So if you are using aggregate functions and you are using group by, then you use the having to specify what condition you want. So let's say select average list price from animal, where, or from animal, group by, let's say category, having list price greater than 50. So, and we will make some examples as well in a little bit. But now let's look at those in general. So filtering results. We have learned about using the equal sign and logic mathematical operators. We learned about logical operators, and we learned about comparison operators. So we have done that and used them. So I'm not going to repeat them here. So managing result sets So as we mentioned that so far we have been creating some SQL commands by selecting all. How about if we want to select specific column from a table? Then we will have to specify that exact column. So let's create an SQL command or an SQL statement where we will retrieve the animal ID and the list price. And we want to increase the list price by 50%. So we want to increase the list price by 50%. And we want to put that in a new column. That way it shows the old price, list price, and the increased list price. Can we do that? Can we all create an SQL command to do that? So let's do that using either way. So we want to select the animal ID and the list price, and the new list price increased by 50%. So what I will do, can you see? Can you see, Paul? I already have the statement for you there, but I want you to practice because this morning I put all the statements that I'm going to use just for you. That way you can have it to review. But let's practice by entering this by yourself. So let's say we want to select, as we mentioned, select animal ID, list price, and also we want to select, what do we call it? List price times 1.5. So in order to increase the price by 50%, we will multiply it by 1.5. Is that right? If I multiply it by 5%, by 0.5, what would that mean? I'm kind of using half instead. So this is a preferred thing. And then I will give it a name. So to give it a name, we will say as, and then increased price. All one word. And then from animal, then try to run. See what we get. So now do we all see what we got? You all get that one? Everyone? So now do you see how we can create a new column for calculation where we want to. So we created a new column because we wanted to increase the price by 50%. So did it work? Everyone work that? So select any ID this price, this top. So now we saw that it is very helpful to create that, to create a new column. And so that was one way. But did we specify the rows? Do we want to select, how many rows did we, how many records did we have? 191? What if your manager came to you and told you, I just want to see the top 10? The top 10. So let's put, in order to put, to select only or to show only the top 10, as we mentioned, we will use that top keyword. So we'll put top 10 right after the select statement, and then run it. So now do you see we have 10, only 10 rows? what if your manager wants you to select the top 10%? Remember how many we had 191 earlier? What is the 10% of that? It's around 19 to 20. 20. So let's put 10%. So the percent we need to spell it out. So what if we want to create whatever we have now, a new table with increased prices, and we want to create a table based on what we just created, based on this query. So now let's create a table, and we will name this table TBL increased price. Can we do that? So we will just use the into right after as.
Both in SQL or
In SQL, I mean in Access, because SQL they deleted that function where we can create tables for security reasons. Because this table or this file is saved in their servers, and attackers can easily get into the system if they allow that creation of new tables. So let's use Access. And we will let's practice from scratch rather than copy and pasting. So select animal ID, list price, and then list price times 1.5 as increased price into TBL. That's the name of the table that we want to create. Increased price from animal. So let's see what it will ask to do. So now it is asking us that we are going to paste this first. Yes. So now you will see that we have our table here. We just created it. So that's one another way to create SQL. Now, how about a distinct keyword? So we talked about, so far we have talked about top, to specify top, and now let's use the distinct keyword. Now we want to know what animals do we have in our database. So to know that, or to do that, we want to select category first, just to show without distinct first. So let's select category from animal. Well, I have 191. But do you see now I have a lot of bird repeating? But if I want to know only what those single categories, I will use the distinct keyword. So select distinct category from animal. Now how many animals do I have? So it is easily that I can answer those questions if I want. So everyone, did it work for all of you? All of you? So how about sorting an order? So we want to sort an order by either descending or ascending. So now we can actually order every column that we have. by listing them at the end. So let's look at the example that we just created here for our uh, list price and category. An example that we just used. So now we are ordering by category and then list price. So category means comes first, and it is ordered by default in ascending. So the default order by is ascending. So from low to high, or from A to Z. So let's see. So I got it from here, from this PowerPoint slide. So this is what I have. Select category, list price from animal, order by category, list price. So this one lists ascending both columns. What if I want one to be in descending? Let's say I want the list price to be descending. I want to put the high price first for every category. Can I do that also? So I will put right after price list, I'll put disc, DESC. So, and then I will run. Now you will see that the bird goes from the highest value to the lowest. So that's that's helpful. So now we know how to use ascending and descending.
Descending applies to both of them, not just one of them.
Only to one.
So
Yes.
the descending only applies to this price and this one.
Yes. If we wanted to apply to both, that's a very good question. If we wanted to apply to both of them, then we will put disk in front of each one of them. So disk. So let's put DESC in front of both columns and run. Now you will see we have the spiders first. So we are starting from the highest, or the highest, you can say, alphabetic order to the lowest. So that's a very good question.
Can I see the Zoom one? Okay.
Here we go. So everyone got it? Yeah.
No, I mean, it was just working fine.
Is it working for everyone that
I mean, it was just working fine.
Yeah, because maybe they have problems. But let's you can use the database, the access file next day. This will work in both. So we have learned how to use order by for sorting. How about grouping? So remember when we say group by, it is mainly used for aggregates or functions. So functions, but we give examples like sum, count, max, minimum, average, and so on, even standard deviation. So now let's say that we want to list all the categories, and we want for every category we want to list the maximum price for that category and the minimum price for that category. Remember this cross, is that what we call cross table calculation, isn't it? So let's do that. We will create one column for category, and then one for maximum list price, another for minimum list price, and we want them to be grouped by category. So when we say group by category, it means the rows will be based on category. So let's do that. So I will say select category and then max list price as max and then minimum list price as minimum as min from annual, and then what keyword do I need now? Group by. So group by category, because that's what I want. So now let's run this guy. So now you see, we know now which one has the maximum, or what is the maximum and minimum price. What if we want to know the maximum price, which has the highest maximum price from all of those categories? It's not easily, we can't easily spot it from here, can we? Although it is already there, ascendingly or descendingly. It is organized. That means the bird maximum price seems to be the highest. Is that right? And what is the lowest price for which category? Can we see the fish?
Food is the first, the maximum highest, the dogs is 3.5.
So
That's his first.
3, yes. Yeah. So now, in order to not to be guessing and we might be doing some errors, let's use the keyword. That way we can avoid those errors. So for that, what we can do here, what can we do? Can we say, to be very specific, can we say order by? Order by. So let's see if this will help us. What do we want? Ascending or descending? Descending. So now you're right. So we got that. The cat now has the maximum price. So now we understand why it is very important that we use those keywords. That way we don't make any mistakes. So what if I want to select all of those categories with their maximum and minimum, but I have a condition. I want to select only those categories and their maximum and minimum where the minimum is, what did I call it here? Greater or equal to 50. So where the minimum price is greater or equal to 50. Can I use, you think I would be able to use where? Maybe not. So in this case, since I have a group by, I will use having to specify what I want. So I'll put here having, before order by, having min this price greater or equal to 50, Now you see, I used to have 6 categories before. Now I have only 4. So now we are comfortable with using group by and having those keywords. Are we all comfortable with that? And order by? And we talked about the operator precedence before. And who can remind us which, if they are in the same level, which operators will be executed first, or in terms of precedence? Would it be the from right to left or left to right? You can remind us? Left to right, that's what we said, exactly. So from left to right. What other, what do we call it, mnemonics that we have been using for mathematical precedence? Please. Yes. Please excuse my dear aunt, Sally. You remember that? I think that Sarah, she said she never heard it before. But so it is, for me, I never heard about it before until maybe 2007. So that was it. But I know most of the students hear about it in the elementary or middle school mostly. But now we know the precedence. So from left to right. And the precedence also is dependent on the type of database management system. They have different precedence depending on their system. How about combining two select statements? Can we do that? Yes, we can do that. We can use union. Remember when we used the Venn diagram? Who remembers the Venn diagrams? So we all remember the Venn diagram? Was it fun? Was that in 7th grade? I remember it was my 7th grade. That was the worst. Because my cousin used to teach me, and I hated that class because it was my cousin. Because he used to tell my parents all the time how either good or not good. But anyways, let's look at how we can combine two select statements using union, intersect, and except. So those are the 3 keywords that we will use. So if we are using the Venn diagram, just to refresh, I think this is what Derek was drawing. So this is kind of the Venn diagram, A, B. So if we say union, it will be everything. Is that right? Everything in both. If we say intersect, it is going to be only those guys that are in the middle that intersect in both. So it's going to be this guy only. Those values that are common for A and B. What if we say except? So if we say A except B. So it's going to be, who can tell me? This will be a little bit tricky.
A except B.
Yeah, so A except B, what will be the values? In which area? 1, 2, 3. So I will call this area 1, area 2, area 3. So if I say A except B, so it is going to be number 1. Because I want only those values that are in A, but not in B. Remember, we want 2 is part of B2, so we don't want it. So A except B will be only area 1. So now are we clear about, so maybe we haven't, in your whole college degree, maybe you never touched on this, and that's why sometimes we ask, why are we having to take this in self-control. Is that right? Do you say that all the time? But in some cases, you might need this in college and your work to remember those. So now we refresh our memories. So now let's use a select statement to select all from the city table. So we have the city table that has addresses, has states, and it has zip codes and so on. So we want to select all from the city table where the state is Texas, and we want to intersect that or to union that. We select all from city where the state is Texas. How about that? Can we do that? So let's use two select statements. So I will select all from city, which is the table. So where state like or equal should not be a problem. And then one single quotation to Texas. And then you can either go to one line or you just keep it in the same line, should not be a problem. And then type union. And then select all from city where state like Kansas. So now if we run this guy, so did you see it worked? And it showed us everything that is from Kansas and Texas. Did it work for everyone?
It doesn't look the equal sign color.
Did you like it?
I did like it.
I feel worse. That one.
So which one's like that? Because if you copy and paste, sometimes the single quotation has different formats. So try to read out the single quotation and see if it will work. If you copy and paste. Who else did work for it? Mommy, did it work for you? Yeah. Everyone here fine? So you got it, Ted? So now, what if we do except? So select all from city where state is Texas except Kansas. So now we got we got only Texas. So we don't have anything anymore. And then intersect will be the same. If we do intersect, I believe there will be some values.
Okay, but except
So except we'll just so EXCEPT, maybe the spelling.
it says there's a syntax error.
Everyone got the same syntax error? Okay. So who are you, so you are using Access or SQL? Access. So let's see for Access. So maybe this keyword is not compatible in Access, but at least in the web query SQL Server it is working. So we'll just stick to that one. So now We have learned how to use union, intersect, and except. Now we can also insert new values into an existing table. And this one here just helps us insert a new select statement into a new table. So we will not do that because, as I mentioned, most of the select statements that we will be using are for retrieval. So we are not creating per se. So we are concentrating on data manipulation operations that are specific to retrieval only. So I will skip this one, but if you want, this would work, the first state in Access. So now let's look at joins. So this is what we will need to concentrate on in this chapter. This chapter is all about joining tables. So far we have been retrieving data from only one table, which is animal or sales or city, only one table. Now we want to retrieve data from more than one table. So as long as they are related through foreign keys, we will be able to retrieve that data. And that's why we have those foreign keys, and we need to specify those foreign keys. And there are some queries that are subqueries as well. So we will have two queries within each other. So we will have nested query, one query that has another query within it, and we will see an example in a little bit. So joins. So if we want to select, let's look at this example here. If we want to list the name of customers who bought animals between 4:1 and 5:31. So we want to select animals or to show the names of those customers who bought animals in that certain day. So for that, what are we going to do? The first thing, we will first decide I want to see which tables are relevant to this statement. So they want us to list the names of customers who bought something between April and May. So which tables do you think we should look at? So list the first and last name of customers who bought something during between April and May of 2004. So from looking at this one, which tables do you think that we should look at? So I'll let you all look at it and let me know. So take a minute. What do you think, Sandy? Kelly? Who wants to jump in? Yes, Sarah.
Would be customer and merchandise.
So customer and merchandise will be. Do we have date here that we can? No, we.
Order date?
So it will be.
Order,
It will be what?
merchandise order.
Merchandise. Oh, you mean this one and this one? That will be too long of a statement. That will be like almost 2 pages if we do that. But that's a good point because we want to see where we have closer to that table, at least two tables within closer to that table. So customer definitely. So correct. The customer table definitely will be there. But another table, we need to see where date is mentioned. And some of those surrounding sale. Perfect. So now we have customer and we have sale. Those are the two tables that we want to retrieve our data from. And it is already there in the PowerPoint slides. But let's look at how we can retrieve this using a join statement. So to retrieve that data, so we said we want to select first name, or let's say last name, first name, from what table are we going to retrieve the first name and last name from? Customer. And then we will do the alias in a little bit. So from customer, now we can use inner join. So inner, one word by itself, and then join by itself, inner join. What is the next table that we need to deal with that is connected to customer? Sale, inner join sale on. Now another keyword that we have to use, on. Now we need to match those foreign keys, the foreign key with the primary key of those two tables. So what was the matching foreign key and primary key for those two tables? Customer ID. So for this one, we will say on. Now we will need to put the table name first, and then the ID, the common ID. So the table name in this case can be customer or sale. Doesn't matter which one you start with. So we say customer dot, and then the ID, the common ID that is between those two tables, equal the name of the other table dot the primary key or foreign key that is connecting those two tables, and then we can go on. So let's say, so we say select last name, first name from, the first table was customer, inner join sale, on, so customer is the name of the table, then dot, what was the common key between both? Dot customer ID, and then equal. So what is the name of the other table? Sale, and the common key is customer ID. So now we had this done. Again, to remind us, what was the main question there? So select the name of those customers who bought something during or between April and May. Is that what it was? So now we can use where, the where statement. So where, what was the name of that field? Sale date. Now we can use that. Where and sale date, in which table was it? In the sale. So we need to specify the table dot then the keyword, the name of the field. So we can say sale dot sale date. It will work even if you didn't mention it, but it's always good to be safe to mention the name of the table first and then dot. So sale dot sale date between, is that what we will use, between those two dates? So April was 4, isn't it? 4/1/2004, and 5/31/2004. Did that work? So do you see? Now we have the first name, last name of everybody who bought something between those two dates. Did it work for everyone? So now do we know how to do that inner join thing? So there is another thing that is called alias. So that means we can use an abbreviation for the names of the tables. So how to do that? For example, here when we define customer, we need to give it kind of a letter that will kind of the abbreviation for it. So in this case, what do we think would be one letter that represents customer can be used? C. So I'll put C right after customer. And what about the table sale? S. S will be. So I'll put S there. Now I will have to replace the customer and sale names of tables with their aliases. So sale, I'll just use S where sale, and then if I run it, it should work. So it still worked. So do you have any question about this? The use of aliases? So Sal, you have a question? Okay. Everyone? Grace, did it work? Melissa?
So,
So
this organization of it,
no.
oh, oh. Oh,
Everyone, did it work?
class. What is that?
So now, are we okay? We're feeling fine with using inner joins? So what if we want to use 3 or more tables? What if we want to use 3 or more tables? We can use the same one. We can use inner join. And this is an example here. So list the last name and phone number of anyone who bought a registered white cat between those 2 dates. So this is a very long question, isn't it? So list the last name and phone number of every customer who bought something, who bought what? White cats. So that means the animal table will be there. Is that right? White cat? Is it in the animal? And color, we want it to be white. So that means from animal. So the data that we will need to retrieve will be from customer. And they said also they want a phone number. What about the phone number? Where are we going to get it from? So where do you think the phone numbers will be? From customer here. Yes. So first name and phone number from customer. And the date, where are we going to get the date from which table? So what do you think? Go ahead. Sale, yes, exactly. So we will get it from sale, is that right? Because that's the closest that has date in it. So we have customer and we have sale. What else do we need? we said color and category for cats will be from animal. So how do we, so do we have connection from customer to sale? We do. But do we have any connection between customer or sale and animal? How are they connected? What do you think, Grace? How are they connected?
Animal.
Yeah, how are they connected? Sale and customer, how are they connected to animal? Sandy, how do you think? How are they connected? So we have customer, we have information for customer,
Sorry.
we have sale. How are they going to be connected? We want them to be connected to animal. How are we going to reach animal? Because there is no direct link between animal and those two tables. Is that right?
Sale, animal, associated.
So sale animal as an associated table or entity. Yes. So that means we will be using four tables. So we'll be using customer and then inner join customer to sale and inner joining sale to sale animal and inner joining sale animal to animal. So that's how it's gonna work. Okay? So now do we know which tables at least that we are looking at? So we can do that. So now do you wanna start writing this uh, this statement? So we will use the same statement that we had before. So select last name, first name from, and what else also we need? Phone number. Phone from customer. Inner join sale on customer ID equals customer ID in both sales and animal and customer. And then we'll delete the where for now. Now we will need to have another inner join. Inner join. So remember how which table that we are going to connect now? Sale to animal sale. Is that right? So inner join animal sale on. So on what? They are going to be joined on what? So who can tell me how they are going to be inner joined? The sale animal and sale. Yes. So the sale ID is a common. Yes. So let's do that. On. Did we have? We need to have an alias here for animal sale. What do you think we should give it? X? Give it an X. Just do it. So on X dot sale ID equals S dot sale ID. And now we need to connect this animal sale table to the animal table. Is that right? So now we will need to connect those two. So now we will use another inner join. Inner join animal on. So how are they going to be joined? Audrey? So how do you think that they are going to be joined, those two tables? Huh? With animal ID, because it exists in both. So now, so which one, Audrey? So how they are going to be connected? With animal ID, because it is common between those two. So inner join animal on what do we want to put an alias for animal? A. A will be representative. Inner join animal. A on animal ID. Is that what we say? A dot animal ID equals X dot animal ID. Now what was our condition? So it was select the name and phone number of the customer who bought something. What did they buy? White cat, is that right? Registered. White cat. So those are some of the conditions that we need to use a where keyword. So where registered is null, is that right? Registered is not null. Registered is should we use the is or not? So registered not null, and category like cat, and color like white. Is that right? It's a long one, isn't it? Did we miss any of those conditions? Did we meet all of them? You think? And there's a date, isn't it? So the date. And sale date between, what was the question? Between those two guys. So now let's run and see if it will work. So it didn't work. We need to specify the tables. So sale date came from S, is that right? S dot sale date. What about color? Did it come from animal? A dot. Category came from A dot. Registered. A dot. Animal. So we have to use is. So the is keyword should be used when we are specifying is not null. So now it seems to be I had some spelling just to avoid spending time looking at those spelling mistakes. I'll just copy and paste what I just did this morning and run it, and still not working, huh? So we will, I will send you the one that will work in an email. Yes. It seems to be that there is a mistake or there is a spelling mistake or error. But at least so far we have learned how to connect those tables using inner joins and for one or two tables or three or more tables. So we'll use that one. Now let's say that we have a nested query. So we have one query that is within another query. So for example, in this example here, where it says find the name of the employee who made sale number 10. So now let's look at this one. We want to know the name, the last name of the employee who made sale number 10. So which tables are we going to use? That's the first step. So Audrey, what do you think, which table should we use? So Kelly,
Name the what makes the number ten?
name the employee, find the name of the employee who made sale number 10.
So is it the employee who
So it is employee and sale. Yes, that makes a lot of sense, isn't it? So now to do that, we can create a nested query. So that means we will select, let's say, last name, first name from employee. Now where employee ID equals, now we will open another nested query. So what I did so far, we selected the first name, last name from employee, but we said we want to select this employee who made sale number 10, wasn't it? So now let's create a statement that will select for us the employee who made sale number 10. Can we do that also? Another select statement. So we'll say select employee ID from, in this case, which table? Sale, where sale ID equals 10. So now, if you notice that the innermost, the select statement that is the inside this query will be executed first. So this will be executed first, will give us the output that will be used by the first query. Okay? So now if we run it, did it work? So now we know that Carlos, who was the one who did it. There is another way also. We can do this by using inner join. So there are several ways that we can do some of those queries. But now we did the inner joins. So there are some content in the back that deals with programming and coding, like programming languages. At the end of this chapter, we will not cover that. That's too advanced and it's not in the scope of this course. So let's look at another thing that I added here is an alternative to this. So this is the statement that did not work for us. Let's look at the alternative that I put for you in the note here. Let's see if that will work. It worked. So now, what we did here, we did an alternative way of running queries that retrieve data from more than 3 tables. So what I did here, so we will go step by step or to analyze the statement that we used for this one. So what I did here is we selected the columns that we need. So that's the first step. That's what we did. Selected the customer last name and first name and phone number because these are the content that we need to retrieve. So that's what we did. Now, the second thing that for this alternative way of running SQL commands is to list the name of the tables that are involved. So did we do that now? You see now? We have the customer table, sale table, sale animal, and animal table. So we listed them. one after one with a comma between them, and then we use the where statement. So we use the where keyword where we join those tables by using the foreign keys. So we make sure that sale is connected with customer through customer ID, and then we use the and statement to connect each one of those two tables with their foreign keys until we get into our condition here where it says the cat has to be white and so on. So does it make sense now how we can